Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. On behalf of the PMO squad, I'd like to welcome you to the first of many upcoming webinars that we'll have in the future around key trends, insights, and things within project management that we think you should know about. Today's topic is project management and project delivery, as you see here on your screen. If the slide will progress, I'll introduce myself. Perfect. My name is Rachel Hentges, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at the PMO Squad. And today I'm joined by the one and only PMO Joe. I see some familiar faces on the call, so again, thanks for joining. For the last almost 10 years, I've been in the PPM software side of the industry. So recently, about a month ago, actually today, it's been a month, I joined the PMO Squad, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. Look forward to connecting on future webinars with the PMO Squad. And I'm joined, like I said, with today's other host is Joe, PMO Joe. Joe, you want to take a second to just say hello to everybody and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Lots of familiar names in the attendee list, but for those who aren't familiar with me, Joe Puz, I'm the founder and CEO of the PMO Squad. Also, co-founder of VP MMA, a nonprofit organization helping veterans transition into civilian project management careers, and founder of the PMO Leader global community for PMO leaders to come together. So excited to talk to you today. Oh, hi, Brian. How's it going? Andrea, down in Yuma. Great to see you as well. So lots of familiar folks, and excited to share some cool stuff with you today.
Awesome. We're going to set the scene of today's conversation with a quick introduction poll. So I'm going to launch a quick poll, and you should see that on your screen. But we want to hear from all of you. Are project management and project delivery the same thing? Again, you should see the poll on your screen right now. So take a second and let us know what you think. You've got three options there. And I'll just give this a second to give everybody a chance to contribute their response, and then we'll take a look at what the results are.
It wouldn't let me vote. It said hosts and panelists can't vote. So
haha, you can't vote. That's maybe because you know the answer, but here we are. Okay, we'll end the poll here and let's just take a look at the results. So 75% of you say that they are different. 21% of you say sometimes, it depends. And then there's 4% that say yes, they can be used interchangeably. So with that, I'll stop sharing and I won't share any spoilers because we'll be talking about this topic obviously for the rest of today's webinar, but I'll run through the agenda. So we'll take a look at what we're considering the problem, showcase some industry research that supports that, talk about the first shift, highlight maturity and capability, and then introduce the movement, which if you saw my LinkedIn post today, you might, that's maybe why you're here. But we're excited to kind of introduce that as we go along here today. But let's get started with Houston, there is a problem. You'll see some statistics here on your screen about project failure, and these are only 3 statistics, right? So there's statistics out there supporting this high failure rate, I would say, in the industry. 66% seen here, 70%, 80%. But I think these statistics highlight that, yeah, there probably is a problem. Joe, what do you think?
well, the good news for us, right, as the PMO Squad in a consulting firm, there's a problem, and that's why we're in business 11 years later, because we're out there helping organizations. But we've seen, I don't know if these numbers are right? There are surveys that organizations have, but whether they're right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is that they point to an issue, right? Because the numbers are so overwhelmingly one directional that there is a problem. That whatever we've been doing hasn't been getting the results we want. So as a consulting firm, when clients reach out to us, the first thing we try to identify is what's the problem, right? How can we help you deliver projects better? And there's multiple reasons for that, of which we'll get to, of course, during today. But every one of them wants to get better because what they're doing is not working. And I think that's the message of this, right? Whether or not you want to believe that 80% of organizations have 80% project failure rates, I guess that's insignificant. what they're trying to say, though, and kind of shock us, I think, and none of these surveys were the result of PMO Squad, they were done by other organizations, is that projects aren't being delivered to meet the expectations of organizations. And I think that's the key takeaway here.
But I think, Joe, you bring up a good point. We've started to see investment in some of these areas. You want to talk about these two, I guess, screen grabs?
Yeah. It's not as if we're not trying to be better, right? And I think when we look at some of the stuff in the upcoming slides, we'll identify we're probably better today working on projects as an industry than we've ever been before. We've invested billions. You can see on the chart on the left, right? We're now into the billions of dollars. They're expecting by 2031 that the PPM industry will be up to $15 billion in investment. I mean, that's a lot of money into tools trying to get us better. And we know, of course, obviously AI right now is out there. But there's 1.4 million PMPs, more than ever before, right? So people are getting educated. The people who get those PMPs are getting paid more money. Companies are investing in the people, right? But they're also investing in software. So we have tools, we have people. All of those things have never had more attention than at any time in the past 50 years of us being a formal profession. But we had the results from the past page that's just not working. So what does that show us?
Yeah, and I think from experience too, in the project portfolio management software industry for a while, they're still running into challenges. And as you saw in the last slide, project failure is still a thing, like Joe was saying. These headlines are articles showcasing the trends we're seeing in the industry and what kind of the Harvard Business Review is covering as far as topics. Obviously, AI is mentioned on here, but all of these examples are around people or technology. Yet, again, we're continuing to see a bit of the same results. Joe, the PMO Squad published a research report a couple years back, and we'll be publishing the 2024 edition of that report next month. But what were some of those top findings in that report?
That we acknowledge ourselves, when I say we, I say the industry and PMO leaders, that we're not doing well, right? I mean, we asked point blank question to people. Is your PMO successful? And we didn't put parameters on that so they could self-define, right? We didn't want to box people in when they answered that question. And only 43% of them said yes. So within our own industry, we're kind of acknowledging that. We asked the question, do you have a formal process to measure PMO value, right? That's all the rage these days. You have to generate value, you have to be strategically aligned. And I don't say that to diminish those things, because I do agree that that's what we should be doing. But 78% of the PMOs didn't have a process to measure if they were providing value. And then the last one, right, 59% of PMOs measure executive satisfaction. And I say only 59%, because that means 41% aren't. If you're not understanding if your executives or your sponsors or your leaders of your organization are satisfied with what you're doing, then how do we know if we're doing what we need to do? And I think the first metric here and the last metric here go hand in hand. I think we don't ask because we know the answer, and we're afraid to be vulnerable, to be able to ask a leader of an organization, how are we doing? Because if the answer is not a good one, then it makes us look in a bad light. But I think that all that really does is set the stage for improvement. But, Rachel, you, like I said, you've been here for a month now, but in your prior position, prior company, you had done the past 4 years, you've been working on research, right? So not just what's the PMO Squad found, what is your former company and the research you did? What did you find there?
Yeah, so some of the audience might be familiar with the PMO report, but I've been kind of the writer behind that report for the last 4 years. And I've just got 2023 and 2024, kind of the breakdown statistics of the summary of, hey, what did we find year after year? And I guess I can attest to the fact that these numbers haven't really significantly changed. There's very little difference in kind of, again, quote unquote, improvement or change or shift of things going significantly better. As you can see in one of the examples here, so over the past year, project failure has actually increased according to this research. So again, we're not seeing that decline of failure rates or seeing that uptick of executive support. I think PMOs are often struggle with that, like Joe just was talking about. So I think a lot of the things that we've been talking about around implementing software or getting certifications, I don't think we're saying we don't need to do those things. But I think there is a better way, and we'll get there as we go along today in today's webinar. But I would pose to the audience, so we've laid a bit of a foundation, but if you wouldn't mind, comment in the chat, do you think that there is a problem? So yes or no, why or why not? We'd love to hear from you in the chat if you think there's a problem as well, based on some of the things that we just went through.
And I'll add this. I'm tired, exhausted after doing this. I'll be 56 this year, of our organizations constantly coming down on the PMs and PMOs for not being able to deliver, right? It's exhausting. So I'm ready to solve it, right? It's like enough of being beat down. And again, being beat down while I think we're at the best we've ever been, right? I think the industry has never been better, and we still aren't getting those results. So it's just exhausting, right? It's time, I think, time for a change. But
yeah, and there's lots of
today.
comments coming through here. I guess exciting to see some of the responses. Christoph, I liked yours. If it was a project management problem, we would have solved it already. I think there's lots of, I guess, good. I'm trying to scroll through all of the ones that are coming in, but lots of yeses. I can relate to that. Alignment issues, all of that. And yeah, same problem we've been looking at for years. So where do we go to get better? And Joe, I'll turn it over to you to talk through.
Yeah, we're not alone in this, right? I mean, where do we go? We have groups like the PMO Leader, right? An online organization, global, that likes to help PMO leaders around the world, of course. But we have associations, like giant associations around the world, whose sole purpose is to support us as project managers and to be able to help us improve on the way we deliver projects, right? They've given us structure, they've given us certifications, they've given us tools, they bring us together in conferences. There is an amazing amount of effort from these associations to try to help us get better, right? That's a great thing, but we're still seeing the same results over and over again, right? So when we look at these associations, and we just pick two random here, I'm not focusing on trying to pick on any of them. When you go to their sites and you look at the certifications they have available, it's the same thing, different story. The CAPM and the PMP are different certifications, but they're still certifying an individual to try to get an individual to perform projects better. Those are good things, right? We need our project managers to be good at what we do. Now, getting a certification does not mean that you're going to be good. I know there's the audience, there's a crowd out there in the industry that says that, and I support that as well. But it is an attempt to try to improve the original, right? The person running the project. So whether you're doing Scrum work and you're an Agile, or whether you're doing traditional and you're coming through one of these associations, we're trying to improve people. All of the people in our industry, we're investing heavily dollars in certifications to try to get us better. But what is it, Rachel? What do we see from this?
Yeah, I think
Insanity,
what
right?
we're all saying is we're seeing the same thing over and over again. I think someone even might have said insanity in the chat. I'm not sure when I was scrolling through, but yeah, we're identifying that there's a problem, yet we're coming back to the exact same things of certifications, software, and again, seeing a bit of the same results. So, Joe, what should we do differently?
Well, let me ask you a question, right? And not to put you on the spot, we only have 55 of us on here, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
you were somewhere for a decade in the industry, and we'd gotten to know each other over the years working together. And I said, do you want to come join the PMO squad and be a part of what we're doing? I fully didn't expect that the answer would be yes, but I'm so happy that you did. Why did you make that change? Right? Why did you come join PMO squad?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And yes, I'm in the hot seat now, apparently, with that question. But no, for almost a decade, I think I saw this problem firsthand. And while software, so again, I was in the project portfolio management software realm, I think it's a part of the solution potentially, but it's not the only solution or the right solution for many organizations today. For many organizations, they're turning to software to solve, again, some of the things that we talked about, a resource management problem, or solve their project failure problem. But guess what? Software is not a silver bullet. And to solve your organization's problems, can it help? Sure. I think it can help. But that's why I joined the PMO squad. When Joe and I were chatting a few months back, he introduced me to the OPD journey, which we'll get to today. But I think that was kind of my aha moment in the sense of this could really help the industry. And what I mean by that is it provides a journey for organizations, any organization today, in their journey to provide value for the organization. And I think the PMO squad is excited to lead kind of that movement to organizational project delivery, which we'll get to. Again, this is probably a bit of a spoiler, but we'll get to at the end. And I think that mentality of helping organizations and helping people and leaders execute on it is exciting for me.
Yeah, I think for us, right, it's tired of doing the same thing. And it's great to have you join us to be able to help us try to do something different.
Awesome. And now we're back to everybody else. We're going to launch another poll. Sorry, it's taking me a second to load it up. But how successful is your organization at delivering projects? So I think 75% of us agree that project management and project delivery are different. So how successful is your organization at delivering projects? You'll see a scale there from 0 to 5, 5 being extremely successful, 0 being not successful at all. Hopefully we don't have anybody in the not successful bucket, but.
And just looking at the chat, Steve Fulmer, it's great to see you, Steve. Been a while since we connected. We should grab a lunch. But yeah, you're right? AI is just a faster technology. It doesn't matter who the technology solution provider is or the type of solution, they're all in the same bucket, right? They're just going to help us do individual tasks. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And Scott, are you open to questions now? I would say type your question in the chat, and we'll find a good pause point, and we'll get to that question.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Joe, for keeping an eye on that as well. So I'm sharing the results here. It looks like the majority, almost 50%, are kind of in that 3 range. So mildly successful, maybe we could call that. But I guess thanks everybody for participating in that poll. And as we go along, there will be others. So stay tuned.
It was kind of like a bell curve, right? It's, I think, what we would expect people to say in a public forum. I bet if we had people in a private discussion, we might not get the standard bell curve with that.
Yeah. So we've seen a shift in the industry from outcomes, or I'm sorry, to outcomes and aligned strategy through value delivery. Joe, I skipped ahead. What are the definitions of these two things in your mind? Don't read them off the screen because here we are.
Yeah. So while I agree with Steve that AI is not the answer, we did ask ChatGPT this question, right? What is the difference between project management and project delivery? Because we're all going to come up with our own definition anyway, right? Because we're going to personalize what that has been in our experience. The majority of you, right, 75% at the beginning said they were different, and Chat GPT agrees, right? One is about more, I would say, the discipline, right? The organization of the work, and the other is about the implementation of it, right? We organize it and we deliver it. And for the first, well, I don't know, 50 years of a formal industry, we were really, really, really focused on project management, right? It was about the processes and organization around project management. But there has been a shift in the fairly recent history within our profession. So,
So I guess I was going to put a link to our Professor Al on the PMO Squad website.
oh,
So
yeah.
if I know Joe mentioned ChatGPT in the last slide of definitions for those two, but the PMO Squad has a wonderful AI chatbot called Professor Al that if you're looking for project management insights specifically, I'd highly recommend checking that out. We have got quite a few
I'll
people.
give a story about that, right? We
Yeah, okay,
had,
go for it.
without naming a person, somebody about 2 weeks ago was preparing for an interview. And they asked Professor Al, I think, every interview question that they had anticipated they would be getting to get a response back. So the most prepared person in the world for their upcoming software project management interview spent an entire weekend asking Professor Al about 50 different questions. So you can use these sorts of tools for all sorts of fun stuff. So that was interesting to see.
Yeah, super fun. Okay, so most of you are probably familiar with PMI's PMBOK, and from PMI, and the 7th edition that came out in 2021 was a big change for the industry. I think from the moving from process to principles was a dramatic shift. So Joe, how does this fit into moving from project management to project delivery back to kind of those arrows that we were just looking at before?
Yeah, to me, this was the best thing that PMI has done. Right, I think even more important than forming. Right, I mean, the reality is, by bringing these principles on board, I think every consulting firm out there that was helping organizations finally said, yes, now PMI gets it. It's not about following a process, not to diminish process is important, but it can't be the most important, right? Value, what we're all talking about now. One of the principles should be, are you getting the outcome or the value that you want from the project? Tailoring, not every project should be the same. Make sure you're using your experience and your tools to fit the project at hand. So the move to principles is absolutely a movement from project management to project delivery. And for PMI to recognize that, I think that's amazingly important to us within our industry. The challenge with that is it's still focused on people. It's still focused on the way work is being delivered. So project delivery is certainly more important than project management, but we have to get movement away from the individual and more towards organizations.
And I think we're making a slight step closer when we look at implementing PMOs, because people are driving projects, but department or functions where the PMOs, or I'm sorry, the PMs or the project managers typically live are in a PMO. You'll see on your screen the percentage of organizations with PMOs, and in the PMO Outlook report year after year, we saw the number or percentage of organizations that had PMOs increase over time. So again, I think it's a shift maybe in the right direction, but I guess Joe, how do you see the PMO fitting into this equation?
Yeah, and thank you to PM Solutions. They do tremendous research in our industry, and these numbers are kind of mind-boggling a little bit, right? 93% of organizations over $1 billion have a PMO. I mean, that is fantastic, right? That's a commitment by an organization to build a function that's focused on delivering projects better, right? Those are good things, right? And we don't want to diminish that because, one, I think we have more PMOs than we've ever had before. I think our people are trained, right, better than they've ever been before. We're using technology, better technology than ever before. So we're making steps in the right direction. However, having a PMO does not mean that you're going to be good. It's kind of like having a PMP does not mean that you're going to be a good project manager, right? Scott asked this question here. Do you believe that experience and skills can exceed PMP education? Absolutely, right? We have had many project managers who've worked for us in the past who haven't been PMP certified, and they were fantastic project managers. One, the certification does not guarantee results. Having a PMO in an organization is good, but it doesn't guarantee results. It's progress, but there's still more progress that needs to come, right? We still have to cross over a bridge because the survey results we looked at the beginning were current. So even though we've been able to do that, we're still not getting the results we're looking for.
Yeah, and I think maturity of those PMOs is becoming kind of a main focus, right? Because, you know, we look at maturity as being kind of an indicator of a PMO's success, right? The greater your PMO or greater PMO maturity, the greater, you know, results or focus of value that you're able to deliver. So before we go into maturity and capability, I want to ask the audience here today, how mature is your PMO? So again, it's a scale of 0 to 5, 5 being of highest maturity, 0 obviously being of lowest maturity. But I guess I have a feeling we might see a similar bell curve. I don't know. But I'll give everybody just a second more to respond. And
You don't have one, sadly. So Mike's response there, he's in the they're a larger, I don't remember the revenue there, but they're in the minority now, right? Because it certainly shows the majority have PMOs.
Yeah. And I would say, I guess based on this, we're looking at a bit of a bell curve again, but no one is, I guess, claiming they are of highest maturity. So again, Joe, does maturity matter?
Certainly maturity matters, right? We think about we as people go through a maturity cycle, right? We all start out as infants, work our way through our toddler and teen years into young adulthood, into having some gray hair, like maybe me, or no hair. And then eventually we age and become elderly, right? The maturity matters because with maturity as society, we've created norms that follow that, right? I have 4 kids. The youngest 2 are 14 and 15. The 14-year-old is more mature than the 15-year-old. But the 15-year-old is allowed to get a driver's license right now, and the 14-year-old isn't. So in the norms of society, if we use maturity as a measure for getting a license as one example, my family doesn't follow along those norms, right? I have somebody who is more mature, but not old enough to fit into the rules. So the maturity model wouldn't work. If we looked at capability, maybe we get a different story. And I think that's where we've failed a little bit with PMOs. So many consulting firms, Gartner has a maturity model. Again, I'm not trying to pick on other consulting firms, but other firms focus on measuring the maturity of your PMO rather than the capability of your PMO, and those aren't equal things.
So what is capability?
Yeah, right. Maturity matters, capability matters more, right? This just blows my mind every time I look at this stuff, right? These are separate research studies done by academia, professional associations, consulting firms, going back over a decade. And there's a lot more than this. This is what we were able to fit within the screen, right? When we ask, what are your top project management challenges in your organization? Resource management is consistently at the top of the list. What I find funny about this is resource management is not a project management challenge. Resource management is a symptom of an organizational problem of how to utilize resources. and they try to bucket that into project management as if we have none of the resources work for us. Yet somehow we're responsible for making sure that they get aligned properly. And I think what this shows us is we may be mature because I haven't met a PMO yet that didn't have a resource management process. Every one of them. We'll go in there and we'll ask about what are your challenges? They say resource management. We ask them, do you have a process? Yes, it's documented. How long has been documented? Years. Well, what does your process say? Almost all of them. We use our system to send a request to the resource manager. The resource manager then approves that request. It comes back and we assign those resources to a project. The maturity exists, but the organizational capability doesn't, because that resource manager ignores the request. So they are a mature PMO, have a mature process, and are asking the organization to follow, but the organization doesn't have the capability, and therefore it's consistently identified as one of the top challenges. Maturity, good. Capability, better. Insanity all over again.
Yeah, it's all over again. So it seems like project delivery, right? While it's an improvement from project management, still isn't getting the job done. So how many reports or surveys or research reports do we need to see to recognize that these things just aren't working? So yes, Joe, what's the answer?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's not an SRO, an XMO, a AMO, a VMO, right? Everybody said, let's just give it a new name. But that's organizations coming up with a way to be able to tell us, and we need to be able to listen, what you're doing is not working. If we call it something else, can we get a different result, right? Project management, and this is, I'm not shooting at us when I say this. I'm shooting at us as an industry here on this slide for us to all recognize, as good as we are, as much investment that's being made, as much education that's being applied, as many PMOs that have been built, as much maturity of those PMOs that have been measured, the focus and shift from project management to project delivery within the industry, the results keep coming back the same. So we can continue to keep doing the same things, but we're going to continue to keep getting the same results, right? We have to find a different way to do this in order to make the progress. And when I say we, again, it's an industry thing, but within the industry, some organizations and some PMOs have worked together to figure this out, right? There are shining stars to look at. And when we study those organizations, they get it, right? They figured out the formula. And after doing this for 11 years with the PMO squad, and a long time running PMOs before that, when you see it, it kind of becomes obvious to you, right? It really jumps off the screen to you.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, the reason I joined the squad was when Joe and I were talking, he mentioned, and I guess we talked through for quite a bit of time, I would say, the organizational project delivery journey. And I think, Joe, this is a good opportunity to go back to ChatGPT and see what do they think organizational project delivery is. And it came up with project delivery manages individual projects, while organizational project delivery ensures projects align with the organizational goals, strategies, and overarching project management practices. So, spot on, Joe. Needs improvement. What do you think?
It's pretty good for a robot, right? The key is that from project management to project delivery progress, that was good. But we kept it inside the walls of project management, right? We're trying to solve this problem internally. And the problem with that is we don't work as a silo. We are part of an organization. The fix for project delivery is inside the organization. Now, we need to be the champions of that, but we have to stop trying to demonstrate that we can get better by becoming more certified, getting better tools, building PMOs and measuring maturity. We now have to approach it at the portfolio level, at the level of strategy and execution, and understanding what's our capability, not the PMO capability, the organizational capability. So I think this is a pretty good start for ChatGPT. I think as they learn more about what we're doing, they'll get better at this, but I think it's a good start.
Okay. So over the, I guess, just to recap what we've all been through today, I guess I should say, and for the last 50 years, probably. We're getting better at project management. We've got certifications available to us. We have improved PMOs, right? We're looking at how to deliver value for an organization, improving our maturity. We're focusing on project delivery, again, back to delivering value and putting value in front of the organization. But I think it's missing two things, and those are what the organizational project delivery journey is all about. And the movement, which we'll introduce in just a moment, requires all of the above. So again, continue to do the things that we've been doing and gain organizational acceptance and capability. I guess, Joe, want to take a moment to walk through each of these stages of the journey?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think important to note, we're going to do specific dedicated webinars on each of these stages. So we're just going to touch on these briefly today to give you a taste of it, but more is coming, right? The details are coming after this. But all organizations, and we've done a lot of research on this. We've looked at a lot of different organizations and where they are on their journey. And remember, this is the organizational project delivery journey, not the PMO journey, not the project manager's journey. It's the organization's capability to deliver. And what we find out is at the beginning, whether you're a small, mid, large size company, depending on what industry you're in, it covers all organizations. They all start some point ad hoc, which means there's no structure. They've got people running projects, and most likely those people running those projects haven't been trained. They're not formal project managers, and there's no standardization in the organization. This isn't saying this is bad. This is just saying this is where the start of the journey begins. Many of you on the call today are probably working for organizations that are already past this stage. They're probably already in to standardizing project delivery, which is the second stage of the journey. And from, we did a teaser that we did our survey, 2024 PMO survey. That survey is closed and we're now compiling the results. One of the early results from that is 51% of the respondents said that their organization, not their PMO, not them, the organization is in either stage 1 or stage 2. And stage 2 is somebody in the organization at some point probably said, hey, I like that status report you created on that one project. Can you use that on the next project too? Bingo. Lights just came on. We're starting now to standardize how we deliver. And this is usually where PMOs come into play, right? So the chaos is gone, kind of, sort of, and acceptance is still lacking, right? You're still limited on that side. So we're starting to get better at how to deliver as an organization because we've standardized it. But we're not quite where we need to be, right? What's missing? Acceptance. To get to organizational project delivery, the organization has to start accepting what we do. Think again back to that resource management example I mentioned a few slides back. When we put a request out for the resource to be assigned to the project, the resource manager approves it. When that happens, that's acceptance of the process. Organizations already do this. If we think about finance, right? I did a poll on LinkedIn last week. Which parts of the organization have the best adherence to their processes? And finance was the winner in that poll. When the finance department sends out invoices for the work that they've done, it always goes out from the finance department. Other parts of the organization can't send out an invoice. The organization has accepted that the way we will do invoicing is for one department to go do that. Within the organizations, we've not achieved that as an industry where they say we're going to run projects one way. So that's stage 3, getting to the point where your organization accepts how to deliver. Stage 4, we start getting into the nuances and where PMOs start really driving impact and value to an organization. Stage 4 is now they see that the organization buys into this. And when you buy into it, we can start taking our org strategy and align that with our delivery capability, not our delivery maturity, our delivery capabilities. What's important here is you have to get through 1, 2, and 3 to get to 4, right? If we try to go to number 4 without having an organizational acceptance of what we're doing, which we see in PMOs all over the world right now, that's where failure comes into play, because the organization is going to say, why couldn't you deliver on my strategic portfolio? And we know the answer, because you don't follow our process, right? There hasn't been buy-in to what we're doing. And the last one, generating value, is kind of the mountaintop of where we're trying to reach. And people say to me all the time, that should be number 1, right? Every project we do generates value. You're right. This is about organizational project delivery, not project delivery. A project delivers a benefit to the company. Organizations are trying to generate value from the capability they have, right? They start to get competitive advantage in their products, in their markets, in their industry, because they have a capability that nobody else has. Apple, a great example with the iPhone. Every year they could put out a new phone because they were capable of doing that. And with that capability, they drove value in the organization beyond it ever was as a computer company, because they improved that capability. So at the high level, that's the journey. Again, not a project manager's journey, not a PMO's journey. It's the organization's journey to be able to go from how do we just do this randomly to how can we do this and get better at it to drive value for the organization.
Yeah, so I guess Joe just went through stages 1 through 5. And I'm going to launch our last poll of today. And we'd love to hear kind of where you think your organization is today on that organizational project delivery journey. As Joe mentioned, we will be doing a webinar series on each one of those stages. So again, stay tuned for that from the PMO squad in the coming months, because we think it's important to dive a little deeper into each one of those stages and I guess help organizations get to 2, 3, 3, 4, and of course 4, 5 being kind of the main big.
And remember, when you vote on this, you're voting on your organization, right? Not you, not your PMO. Where's the organization on this journey, right? You can be the best project manager in the world, working for the best PMO in the world, but if your organization hasn't made it through step 3, we see the results we see from all the surveys.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just, because it's fun, we'll share the last poll results, most being in that standardization, followed, I guess, by strategic project delivery. So again, back to Joe's comment, you know, as an organization, that's pretty impressive. And then, you know, ad hoc and organizational project delivery being kind of the last.
But again, our survey showed 51% were in steps 1 or 2. This survey we had today, 60%.
60%,
right?
Yeah, right.
I think part of that also is in our survey, we didn't have somebody explaining those stages of the journey, right? It was just a plain question. So, and the other thing I think is, you know, a kind of a reflection of reality that maybe we don't talk about. The other thing is, I think we're talking about this intentionally right now, right? We're putting ourselves out there as an organization to say this. Only a quarter of the people made it to 4 on the poll we just did. So that's, I think, not good, right? But where as an industry do we keep, where's the noise today in the industry? And I don't mean noise in a bad way, but there's so much talk about value. There's so much talk about strategic alignment, but only a quarter of the people there. So these firms and associations and companies that are talking to a quarter of the people, we're missing it, right? The 75% of the organizations aren't there yet. And that's why I think this is such an important piece that we're working on.
And I think that's a good leeway into what should we do about it, Joe?
Join the movement, right? If you're feeling this at your organization, be a part of the solution, right? I almost feel like this is a revolutionary moment in our industry where we, the people in the industry, have to go back to those associations and go back to our employers and go back to all the consultants and say, stop giving me the same bullshit that's going to make us better because I'm going to train our people better and we're going to get better software. How many times are we going to look at the same survey results and think that it's going to get different? So the PMO squad this year, we changed our vision statement and we changed our purpose statement. We are 100% all in on this movement, right? For us, our vision now is to be a catalyst for organizations on their journey to a brighter future. If we think about this, project management is about doing something better, and it's a change for the organization, right? They're trying to become something better in the future. We do that. Project managers drive that change. PMO squad wants to be a catalyst for every organization out there to do that. And our purpose, right? We're a purpose-driven organization. Very clearly, we're changing our purpose statement from this moment forward. Our purpose as an organization is to lead this movement. We are supportive of project management. We are supportive of PMOs. We are supportive of project delivery, but only if they're using this to improve capability of organizations to drive results.
Yeah,
Rachel,
and I
does
put
this line up with why you joined the squad?
yeah, no, I think it's a clear kind of things have come full circle from earlier in the presentation today, but I think this movement is exactly why I joined the squad, in the sense of we want to help organizations see the value and results from organizational project delivery, and we're committed to doing that at the PMO squad. I've put a link in the chat for how you can go and join the movement. We'll be obviously sharing resources and webinars and events in conjunction with this movement to help organizations along their journey to organizational project delivery. And we'd obviously love for you to be a part of it and be a catalyst for organizational project delivery within your organization. So the link's in the chat. Please, go fill out the form to subscribe, and you'll be the first to hear of anything new and upcoming, specifically kind of that webinar series that we talked about of each of the different stages of the journey, the research report that we've mentioned that will be coming out in the next month or so. But yes, we encourage you to go and do that. And I guess go ahead, Joe. I think we're going to go to who the PMO squad is from an organizational standpoint.
Yeah, and I'll just add one more thing before I jump into this is we want you to partner with us on this, right? If you're a company, join us in this. Stop. The status quo doesn't work anymore. If you're an individual, join us on this. We're going to be putting lots of stuff out there to help you be part of this. We just want you to say enough is enough, and what can we do to be the solution? So what do we do that's part of the solution? Project management and PMO consulting. We help organizations all over the world either build a PMO or improve their PMO, right? I think that's what most people know the PMO squad for. Rachel and I both did a poll out on LinkedIn asking, the world, what do you think the PMO squad does? Nobody said PM staffing, right? We had I think a 0% return rate on PM staffing. Well, guess what we do? We do PM staffing. Since we're in the industry, we're not a staffing firm like the traditional staffing firm that's trying to place every role out there. We only deal with project management, project delivery, and agile, right? We have amazing access to resources to be able to help organizations when they need resourcing. We're an Asana partner. We're a partner with Transparent Choice. We're partners with Christoph and his firm over at Meisterplan. They're all part of the movement, right? They're trying to make this improvement as well. When we say working on ourselves and our education and technology and PMOs hasn't gotten us there, that doesn't mean we walk away from technology. We still have to embrace technology, but we have to take it one step further. We have to bring it into the organization. So we've got some great partners that we've aligned with on this journey. And of course, we provide education through customized training, team building workshops, and we're dedicated to what we do, right? We've been fortunate to get some recognition industry-wide, locally here in Arizona, and for the work we do with veterans. So if you don't know who we are, I think those awards are a validation of who we are. And we have another validation coming out next week from Inc. magazine that we publicly can't talk about until next week when they announce it. But there's another amazing piece of the story that comes out next week as well.
Yeah, before Joe goes spilling the beans and getting us in trouble, I'll move us on to the next section, which is, of course, your questions. Obviously, we've threw a lot at the audience today, and now is the time for us to go through some of those questions that you might had. I know, Joe, we've addressed some of them along the way, but I'm going to scroll back up through the chat. And if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will get to those right now. So do we have stats around root causes of failures? I think, Joe, maybe speak to that holistically as an industry, maybe.
Yeah, thinking back to the one slide where we showed the Harvard Business Review articles, one of the articles was on why projects fail. There is a lot of stats into why projects fail. The challenge that I have with them is that they're all, again, pointing to symptoms and not to the cause. And resource management as a challenge of why a PMO doesn't fail is a symptom of the organization not following the process, right? So I think the research has been missing an opportunity to point out root cause as opposed to symptomatic awareness of what's happening. But you can Google on a lot of this stuff, right? And you'll see it.
Yeah.
That's out there.
I guess a question kind of came in earlier, but companies are delivering things, but does that reflect success factors completely? So I think that's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, obviously companies deliver stuff. The question that we ask is, are you delivering it efficiently as possible so that you're maximizing the profit and return on investment you get from your delivery? And I think, again, when we go back and look at the stats, the answer to that is no. We haven't been doing that as an industry. So I also don't want to make blanket statements, right? There are amazing PMOs and organizations out there. The PMO Global Awards, right, that PMI just acquired. Every year they do a competition to identify the best PMO in the world, regionally and in the world. And when you really study those PMOs, they do this, right? They have organizational project delivery. They don't have project delivery. They've taken it the next step. So there are shining examples that we can work to. And as we have these webinar series in the future, we're going to bring some of those folks on, and we're going to talk about that so that, again, you don't just hear it from us as a theory, right? This is in practice at companies today and working. What we want to do is be the voice to bring it to the industry with the help of all of you to show everybody how to do this. And I think there's great opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, totally agree. Someone asked if they could get the slides. Yes, the slides will be available along with the recording. So after today's live event, it will show up in your inbox because you registered for today's event. And if you were to subscribe to Join the Movement, you will also receive it there. So just wanted to follow up on that specifically. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. Lots of good comments around good stuff. I think a lot of nodding heads probably throughout today's presentation.
Let's ask people. Let's put them on the spot. And
yeah, there
again,
you go.
not put you on the spot as to make you go fill out a form or anything, but do you want to be part of the movement? Right? Yes or no? Type it into the chat now. I mean, do you want to be part of the solution, or do we want to continue with what we're doing? Yeah. See, I love it. Right. This is it, man. This is what we have to be doing. I'm so excited to be able to get this out there and have people be part of this, be people part of the solution, because I almost have felt for the past decade or so that we're being told what to do, how to get trained, what technology to use, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of if we keep doing that, then those organizations keep benefiting. Listen, PMO squad makes money when PMOs are bad, right? We may not make money if we start doing this well, but I can't sit back and be on the sidelines anymore. I have to go be part of the solution now. So thank you, everybody that's
I was
saying
gonna
yes
say,
there.
I see a lot of yeses and yeses with exclamation points, which shows some enthusiasm as well. And again, just to echo what Joe just said, you know, I joined the squad because of this reason, and I think that the movement is going to be a huge part of what the project management industry looks like in the future. And so, if all of us that are saying yes, 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 yes right now, put some action towards it, I think it'll be really, really successful. And we're, I guess, glad that you all want to be a part of the movement as well. So
Awesome. Yeah. Luckily, there were no no's in that list.
well, not any that we saw. It did go yes, 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 yes so fast. So maybe we missed one or two, but um
And you're right, Tanya. You're right.
yeah.
As we improve, the PMO squad doesn't go away. We just help things get even better, right? You're right. We'll always be part of the solution. That's our mission, right? Is to lead the movement, to be the catalyst for organizations to a brighter future. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, awesome. I don't see any other questions, Joe. I think we can wrap up for today. I thought today's session
Absolutely.
was wonderful. I'm so excited that we saw so many yeses coming through around joining the movement. We're so excited to have you as part of it. And I guess just stay up to date with all of the things PMO Squad. You can subscribe there or follow us on LinkedIn. We'll get much more active around the movement specifically in the coming months, as well as include the links to some of those upcoming webinars and reports accordingly. So again, thanks everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Joe, as always. And we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you, everyone.